Hi, it's Kai and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing my base routine because I've had quite a few people on the photo and the clock app ask me like what my base routine is and for me to do it, and I had actually filmed it over on that app multiple times, but the footage kept getting eaten because it was like longer than 10 minutes, and I was like, let's just do it on YouTube. That's gonna be the easiest thing. So I hope that this answers any questions about my base routine and my makeup routine. Let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see, especially in the like makeup tutorial arena. And without further ado, let's just hop into it because I already know that I'm going to ramble, or that I did ramble while I was putting this together, so it's probably going to be a little bit of a longer one. Get your tea, grab a snack, let's go. So my base routine actually starts before I do my eyeshadow. When I put my eyeshadow primer on, I also put my face primer on to allow it to sink in a little bit, because I personally feel like it just looks better if I don't put my foundation immediately on top of my primer, you know, give it some time to marinate. So I'm currently using the e.l.f. Poreless Putty. This is in my project pan, as you guys have seen. So this is where I'm at with it, and honestly I use a very thin layer. Like, I couldn't even show you how thin. Like, I just rub the top layer off and I put maybe that much, and I just spread it across. I guess I could have put it on my face even though I've already done it, but I just put it mainly in the middle of my face because this is where my pores are the most apparent, and it's also where I like sweat or get the most greasy throughout the day. And I also do wear a mask when I'm like at work and stuff, so putting it in this area, you know, helps my mask from rubbing all of my makeup off. I'm a concealer before foundation girly because I feel like when you put your concealer on first, you really see whether you need a whole bunch of foundation. So I have been using, again, this is in my project pan, and honestly the products that I use, I kind of switch up and out every once in a while, so there's not really like a consistent like amount of products that I use or a consistent routine. It's more about my techniques and like how I do things, which I will also tag some of the people that like I get technique from. But yeah, I'll put their ads and stuff below. But let me stop talking, and I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way in the shade Maple, and I just put a little dot of it. This is one that I'm trying to finish up because I actually have two of these Too Faced Born This Way concealers, and like, do you need two of the same concealer? Absolutely not. You don't even need more than like one or two concealers if we're being honest. And because that one is like almost, like, it's a little bit lighter than my skin, but kind of close to my skin tone shade, I like to mix in a little bit of this Haley's Beauty one. It's another one that I am finishing up, but it's a little bit lighter, and it also has a little bit of a peachy tone to it, so that's nice for like color correcting. But I don't like a completely peachy toned like concealer on myself because my skin is a little bit more like warm neutral. And then I spray my beauty sponge. I use the e.l.f. ones. I spray it with some setting spray. The one that I currently have is the e.l.f. microfine one, but I also really like the Milano setting spray. That's the other one that I have in reserve. And then I start with blending out the concealer on my chin and around my mouth, and I do bring that concealer up around my mouth to help cover, you know, any of the darkness that I have there. Also around the nose, because, or like around the mouth, nose, or the bridge between those, I don't know, but around there too, because I tend to get darkness, and I know a lot of people get redness around their nose. And then I start in with my concealer, which this is the part of the technique. I got this from Ani. I've been following them for forever, and they say instead of like blending out one eye completely with your concealer, bounce in between them, because then you don't get that uneven coverage of one eye looking thinner than the other because your sponge picked up more product on one side or had more product on it when you were blending out the other side. This was one of the game-changing tips for me in making my makeup just look better, because there's just some things that about your makeup, sometimes it just looks off. And that was one of the things that I definitely thought made my makeup look off. And now I feel like I have, you know, even coverage. Even if I don't have full coverage underneath my eyes, it's still even. It doesn't look like one eye, like I got hit in the eye or something, you know, versus the other eye being fine, or you know what I'm saying. And then for my foundations, I personally like a lot of skin tints and like dewier products for my skin because my cheeks are more dry. So the one that I've currently been using, again, another one in my project pan, the Glossier Perfecting Skin Tint. We've got it hanging upside down because I am letting like all of the product dip to the bottom. I'm almost done with this, but I just put a little bit just on my cheeks, because if I put it on my cheeks, then I can blend it out to the other places that I need to. But generally, because I already have like my good layer of concealer, I don't really need a lot of other foundation product, which is, I think, part of the reason why I like more of a skin tint than a foundation. So I put that on, and honestly with foundations, even if they're stick foundations or like other formulas of liquid, not quite as liquidy as this one, I do prefer to blend them out with a brush. I feel like I just have a little bit more control with the brush. This is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, you know, an OG in the beauty community. And I just blend that, like I said, mainly on my cheeks. I don't like putting makeup on my forehead. I don't really need it, I feel, and I feel like makeup on my forehead is sometimes what makes my makeup looks super heavy and not quite as flattering and like, you know, pretty on me. But especially when I'm blending out my foundation, skin tint, whatever, I will make sure to bring it around where I did my concealer, so there's not that harsh line of like, oh, your bright concealer and then the rest of your makeup. Also bring it down to like my chin line, and then I bring the remainder onto my nose, because again, I feel like my nose is not a place that needs a whole bunch of makeup on it. And then before I go in with powder, because my, you know, concealer creased a little bit, I have a lot of lines underneath my eyes and I love them, but I do have to go in with this step. You could skip that, like re-blending out your concealer. Honestly, you could probably do your powder before you do the rest of your foundation, but I just don't like to do it that way. So for powder, another one from the Project Pan, this KBD powder. This is one that is a little bit more mattifying, so it works especially with my more dewy products, and I'm having some trouble getting powder out because I'm so close to finishing it, which is a good problem to have. But I bought this e.l.f. little powder puff. I have been using just the ones that came in my foundations and stuff, but I wanted something with this triangular, you know, shape to it. And so I just take it, the puff, and stamp it in there really good, you know, getting nice and even coverage on the puff. And then same thing here. I go in between my eyes because I don't want one eye to be more matte than the other, or one eye to pull up more concealer, because you can obviously see that a little bit of concealer will come up on this puff. So I just pat that into my under eye area, a very thin layer, because I don't like a lot of powder. Again, I have drier skin, and underneath my eyes is an area that can be a bit dry. I also do around the nose because I have concealer, you know, tend to gather there, and I want to prevent that. Upper lip, on the chin, and then I largely do not do anything to my cheeks. The most I'll do is like take a little bit extra and put it on my chin, again because I wear my mask when I'm wearing makeup out, so I want to make sure that it, you know, stays a little bit better across the bottom of my face. But then that's all I do for powder, and I feel like I retain a bit of glow while also like having my under eyes set. And then going into bronzer, I'm going to use the Tower 28 Bronzino today in This is Best Coast because this is in my project pan. But another one that I have been using a lot of, as you guys know if you followed my project pan from last year, was the Butter Bronzer. Again, this is just a testament that it's more about the techniques and the different products. So I like to take my cream bronzers on this brush. It's a Japanese brush, I don't know, 718, and I take a little bit of it on my, you know, brush. And then same thing here, I like to go in between my two cheeks instead of building up on one cheek completely. I feel like that also helps me like actually see what I'm doing instead of building up a lot of bronzer on one cheek and then like not enough on the other and then going back and forth and doing that thing like, you know, when you make your eyeliner wing bigger on one side than the other, that type of thing. So again, just kind of bounce in between them. I'm picking up very small, brush hair. I'm picking up very small bits of the product just because you don't want to go overboard. You can always add more product, but you can't take away too much. And then I also go down here on my chin, and my chin, like the actual structure, if we ignore, you know, my cute little pudge down here, it goes more straight across. I'm not quite sure how much got cut off because my SD card was full, but I was saying how my bone structure for my chin is actually more straight across if you ignore like this part. Like if I don't know how to do it like but yeah, so I bring my bronzer more so straight across instead of like going down here and like just putting bronzer on my cute little pouch like I was saying. And then I do bring just a little bit up onto my temples. Again, I don't put a lot of makeup or any foundation or much of anything on my forehead except for this, just to make sure that, you know, everything blends in and looks seamless. Today I'm also going to use the Tower 28 blush in Power Hour, might as well. And I do really like a good cream blush. I feel like the Tower 28 ones are pretty decent at like staying power. And where's my brush that I like to use with this? I like this Wet n Wild, I don't know what it is, the handle it is not broken off, but like written off, and I put my blush like not directly on top of my bronzer, but definitely a little bit like overlapping it. You can see there's like a clear delineation between the bronzer and blush, but I just like for it to be all together, like almost, you know, the way Sabrina Carpenter's cheeks just have like the blush bronzer glow all over it. That's kind of how I like to do it. But I also like this technique that I got years ago from Julia Adams, and it's the wave technique. So basically, you know, you have your blush and then you just bring the leftover kind of in the middle of the face and on the nose in a W or wave shape. And I just feel like this is really flattering for my face personally. Gonna build up a little bit more blush here because I do like a lot of blush personally. I am a blush girl. And then highlight Colourpop drop of a Hat Super Shock Cheek, and then I take this on this Real Techniques contour brush, which is actually a perfect cream highlighter brush, and I take some, you know, just swirling around, and I, you know, dot it very lightly, kind of like a stipple motion between a swipe and a pat, I guess. And I lay it kind of again on top of the blush, but also a little bit above it, and it makes it so that like when I'm straight on, you don't really see the highlight. I like that, like it that way. And then like when I turn my head, it just catches the light, and it honestly just looks like not really shimmery or glittery, just a really healthy glow. Like this is with it, and then without it, like I've still got a glow, but I feel like it almost looks more greasy and not as like pointed. And I could be like making that up, you know. I put some on the tip of my nose and then my little, like the bridge, I guess. And then I also like to swirl a little bit on my inner corners. I feel like this can help tie the eyeshadow in with the rest of the face. A little bit on the Cupid's bow. A lot of these are just very like old school beauty YouTube tips and how we did our makeup, but just like updated for the current age. And then I do my faux freckles, which I've been using Freck for years. I absolutely love this. It's like my favorite faux freckle product. So we are going to just dot it. I try to dot it like as randomly, and depending on the day I do like more freckles, less freckles. Today I'm feeling like a less freckle day, honestly. So, and then I like to blend it out. Sometimes I use this brush for cream blush. It is a It Cosmetics little brush, but I like to use that to stamp it out because it doesn't pull my blush up a whole bunch. So I stamp it out, transfer the freckles and lighten them. And like I said, I'm feeling a really light freckle day, so I think this is where I'm gonna end it. And then lastly, setting spray, if I can get the cat hair off my face. Setting spray, I'm just gonna use the same e.l.f. one that I used on my beauty sponge because I'm not really fussy when it comes to setting spray. This one does have a really nice mist on it. And this is what everything looks like when you've got all the stuff put together, like the rest of my makeup. And I look good. I have to admit, the people that I have gotten and gathered these techniques from, whether I've named them or they're just from like my years of watching beauty videos, they are the reason that I can look like this literally all of the time. And now I'm teaching you guys some techniques, or hopefully passing them on from those people. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're staying safe and healthy wherever you are right now, and I'll see you whenever I post the next one.